finally, the first cigar review. Here we go. This is not the ideal environment. As you can see, I'm actually in my van. It's pretty snowy outside. I've got a long trip today, and I figured what better day to have a nice cigar. So here we go. You can see I've got my cutter here. Got that I got that electric cigarette. Well, I've got to follow up on that. And obviously I've got my cigar here. It's a CAO Gold. This is by far my favorite so far. Really love that cigar. This one happens to be a torpedo, and that would be the shape of it. And it's a 52 ring size. So, and I'm not going to really get into that now. I'll have another video where I'll have several different cigars, and I'll explain the different types, ring size, and whatnot. This is just a regular natural wrapper, and it's about 6 1/4 long, and it's a 52 ring size, like I said. But so we're gonna go ahead and I'll start smoking this. Whether it's torpedo or a regular Churchill, what have you, it doesn't bother me. I do like the torpedoes sometimes a little better. So not flavor wise, I don't know, like the torpedo. So we'll go ahead and start smoking this, and then I'll have an update halfway through it. Again, it's my favorite one, so I'm going to be kind of biased probably, and that is the bad thing with cigars. A lot of them are, they're just personal preference. One person may like this, the other person may not. This particular cigar is it's very smooth for me. It's pretty mild, not real harsh, and it's not too light. So I haven't had one in a while, so I'll start smoking it, and then I'll go in a little deeper. There's not a whole lot to say, but stay tuned. Continuing on with the last portion of the review, unfortunately this is not going to be a real good review today. It will be kind of a learning experience here. You can see the way the cigar is burning. It's been burning for about 45 minutes. Some might think, the way it's crooked, that could be a lighting issue as far as how I lit the cigar. I've been lighting cigars for quite a while. That's not the issue. What I had noticed is when I lit the cigar, it didn't have hardly any draw on it, which it still does not. I mean, you cannot draw the cigar at all. By drawing, I mean, taking a puff, taking a hit off of it. And it was kind of burning from the inside out. Basically, it burned to where you see it now, almost all the way without burning the actual exterior wrapper. And the problem, again, is not the cigar itself, but the vendor. You can see the cigar is pretty, if I can get that to focus, it's pretty soft and squishy, which I should have tested this before I actually bought it. Normally I do, but I thought this vendor would be okay. I've heard good things about him, but I had never purchased a cigar from him. Essentially what's happened is the cigar has been kept too moist. In this case, it's not crunchy, it's very, very soft. You can almost bend it in half, it feels like. I mean, obviously you can't, but basically the humidity is way too high on their humidor, unfortunately. They do have a very large humidor, so this is what you get. I could continue smoking this, but there's hardly any draw on it, and it's essentially not worth it. So basically a $7 cigar down the drain, which, if you don't know your source, I mean, that's a chance you take. Don't just buy a cigar unless you're buying a box of Swisher Sweets or Black & Milds or something from anyone. Know the source, and buy a cheaper cigar from them from the get-go, and then see how that goes. But this is what you see. You can see now it's starting to straighten out a bit, but there's still hardly any draw on this cigar. So I'm going to throw this out. Again, it's not worth it. It's just, it's not a very good smoke. Typically, this cigar is very smooth and mild. Right now, in its state, it's not very smooth. It's somewhat harsh, and it's not mild at all. It doesn't even have a whole lot of cigar flavor. It's just way, way too moist. And the tobacco on the inside, is obviously a little drier than the wrapper, and that's what we're running into. Is the tobacco is burning much faster than the actual wrapper itself is burning. So that kind of concludes. We will get another one of these, and we'll review it. I'll get it from my normal source, and but first we'll probably get another cigar in here, and we'll review that. So there you go. You can see it is straightening out, but if you notice that when you're lighting it, if you do light it properly, and it's got a even burn area, that you should not get a real, it should be a pretty straight ash. This one, I mean, it was it was horrible. So that's it. Just wanted to give you a little update, and again, sorry, but I want to put these kind of things out there. This is all about learning about cigars as well, and different things and whatnot. So there you have it. Feel free to post any questions or comments, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Well, I decided not to throw the cigar out quite yet, and now that it's drying out a little bit more, the top of it is not squishy. It's not really squishy at all. It's not dry either. It's pretty good, and you can see the ring has pretty much leveled out. What I should have done was, before jumping the gun and lighting this, I should have checked it out, made sure it wasn't too squishy or anything, and then if it was, maybe let it sit out half a day or a full day. But I was a little impatient. But now that I've let it dry out a little bit more, just letting it burn, it actually has a good draw on it. It's got a smooth taste, and it's really, really nice. So, and typically that doesn't happen. Usually once it starts out bad, it ends even worse. So I'll continue smoking the rest of this and let you know my thoughts, but pretty much that's it. As you get towards the end of the cigar, it will taste a little different, and that depends on the cigar as well. And I'll go over that all about cigars in in some other videos. But for a cigar to have a smooth taste from beginning to end is a very good cigar. A lot of cigars will be good at the beginning, okay in the middle, and horrible at the end. A lot of them will be so-so at the beginning, really good in the middle, bad in the end, and so forth. It just depends. Now, the CAO Gold is typically good from start to finish. Again, once you get past the actual wrapper or the actual logo ring here, you don't want to go too far past that. Then just about any cigar isn't real good. So, but I smoke them down to the nub pretty much. So I'll continue smoking this and let you know how it ends up. But regardless of what has happened here, it's a good video, good learning experience for those of you that are just getting into cigars, or you smoke cigars but have never really tried any of the more expensive cigars out there. So stay tuned. Okay, I'm still driving here. I know this really has nothing to do with the cigar review, but just an update. I did throw out the cigar. It had about 10 good hits on it, and then it went south again. It was just horrible. It just wasn't worth it. So if you have a cigar that's not worth it, don't smoke it, because you're not going to get that cigar again. You're going to associate that bad taste with that particular cigar, when in fact it could be a vendor. And by all means, I mean, you can have the same similar indications with a cigar that's too dry. This one was just way too moist. It burned very slowly, even the tobacco, but it did burn, it just didn't burn the wrapper, it was just burning the tobacco. With a dry cigar, you may have, the tobacco could be dry and the wrapper could be moist, and you can have the same effect. Or you can have, the whole thing be dry. A dry cigar is usually worse than a cigar that's got too much humidity. So, and that's, and unfortunately for the vendor, they're trying to do the right thing, because they are trying to keep them humid, trying to keep moisture up in them. But essentially, they just got their humidor just set up too high. So I'll probably go back to them and just explain what happened. I'm not looking for a free cigar or anything. In fact, I probably, I'll give it a while before I go back to that shop to actually buy a cigar. But I may tell them, hey, your humidor is just way too, you've got it a little bit too humid right now. You've got the humidity up a little bit too high. So I'll probably mention that to them. And it could be placement even within the humidor. It's a big walk-in unit. They may have it too close to it, or even further away. Humidity, it likes to store in corners and high. So it just depends. They could have even had the door open a little bit too long, and with it being fairly humid outside right now, that could play effect on it. And they may need to change their settings based on the weather, because it has just now gotten pretty cold in Ohio, whereas we've been, we've had some pretty mild weather, so there's a lot of factors there. But anyway, I wanted to give you an update. Sorry that you don't actually see the cigar, but as I said before, not all is lost, so this is a good learning experience for everyone. So please feel free to post any questions, comments, contact me if any questions or anything like that as well. So subscribe, and thanks for watching.